We compiled this video featuring the deadliest real-life shark attacks covered on the channel. From the notoriously aggressive great white sharks in the Pacific to rare and brutal attacks off Jamaica's coast, welcome to When Animals Attack.
When Jana Lutteropp, a spirited 20-year-old from West Germany, came to Hawaii after a year of looking after 3 lively children in Issaquah, she did not know she would leave this paradise thinking she was in hell. It was a perfect day at Palauia Beach, also known as White Rock Beach. The beach was a hidden gem, quieter than the bustling tourist spots. A slice of heaven with its golden sands and rocky pools teeming with colourful sea life. Jana, excited to explore, had pulled on her snorkeling gear and waded into the warm, inviting water. As Jana floated 100 yards from the shore, mesmerised by the darting fish beneath her, she did not realise this tranquility was soon to be shattered. In the murky depths, an ominous shape moved with deadly intent. A massive shark had set its sights on Jana, and she was blissfully unaware of the danger lurking below. Without warning, the shark struck with terrifying force, knocking the breath out of Jana. She was thrown into a panic, struggling to comprehend what had just happened. Then came the searing pain. She glanced to her side and saw her arm clamped in the jaws of the shark, its cold eyes staring right into hers. The pressure was unbearable, and then, in a flash of agony, her arm was gone. Jana began to scream. On the beach, a high school teacher heard her and without hesitation plunged into the ocean, racing towards the bloodied scene. As he neared, he saw a crimson cloud spreading in the water and realized the grave danger he was in. The shark, still lurking nearby, could easily make him its next victim. With his heart pounding and adrenaline surging, he reached Jana and grabbed her flailing body. The water around them was a terrifying red, and every second began to feel like an eternity. Blood poured into the ocean as Jana screamed for help. Below the surface, more sharks lurked, drawn by the scent. Frantically, Jana kicked and kicked, trying to make it to shore. She was losing blood fast, and she didn't think she was going to make it. The attack had been too brutal, too forceful. On the beach, her friends could see her splashing in the water and cried out, but none could muster up the courage to save her. Then, 57-year-old Rick Moore, vacationing from California with his friend Nicholas Grisafi, heard a blood-curdling scream. The 2 men turned and saw Jana struggling 100 yards out, surrounded by a sea of red. Without hesitating, Rick ran into the water and swam as fast as he could, right into the middle of the blood cloud. Less than 10 feet from the young German, he saw that her arm was completely missing. He told her to grab hold of him with her other arm and supported her head. Swimming on his back toward the shore, he kicked steadily, trying to calm her. As he swam, it suddenly dawned on him just how much danger he had put himself in. The shark was still in the area. He was carrying wounded prey, surrounded by blood. At any moment, he could be attacked. Other sharks could be drawn to the area, enticed by the smell of fresh blood. Yet he kept kicking, moving toward dry land. Jana was terrified. She kept repeating that she was going to die. "I'm dying," she said. "I know I'm going to die." Rick tried to reassure her, but he knew that with each passing second, her chances of survival were fading. He prayed out loud to God, praying for protection from the shark and for their safe arrival at the shore. He feared seeing the telltale sign of a shark's fin slicing through the water, a sharp tug on his legs as it dragged him under, but he was determined to make it, determined to get to dry land. As they got close to the beach, Rick's friend Nicholas waded into the shallows. The water came up to his neck as he took Jana from Rick and pulled her onto the beach. She was drifting in and out of consciousness. She had lost so much blood that it no longer poured from her open wound. As they laid Jana down on the sand, 23-year-old Joshua Craddock from London frantically called the emergency services. He had watched the whole rescue, awestruck by Rick's bravery. This man had plunged into blood-stained waters without a second thought. Beachgoers hurried to help, lifting Jana onto a makeshift stretcher made from a kayak and carried her up the trail to the street. Her friends were frozen in shock and could do nothing to assist. Understandably, they were paralyzed by the horror of the scene, their bikini-clad friend pulled from the sea, covered in blood and missing an arm. Upon reaching the street, a police officer quickly tied a tourniquet around Jana's shoulder. She was barely conscious by this point, her breaths becoming shallow and her heartbeat faint. Then she stopped breathing. Instantly, high school teachers Rick and Nicholas began performing CPR. Jana's friends stood by, helplessly watching, until an ambulance arrived and rushed her to Maui Memorial Medical Center. Jana was fighting a losing battle. Jana's family spoke lovingly of the enthusiastic, happy young woman she was. Beautiful and strong, she was always laughing. Meanwhile, Rick and Nicholas, haunted by the ordeal, replayed the events over and over in their minds. Nicholas questioned whether he had done enough. Should he have swum out to help Rick bring her in? Would it have made a difference? Could they have saved precious time? Nicholas admitted that the attack affected him deeply. He still goes into the water, but never strays far from the beach. Meanwhile, Rick Moore's decision to dive into shark-infested waters to rescue Jana turned his Hawaiian vacation into a life-defining moment and earned him a prestigious recognition. Moore, from Laguna Niguel, was among 22 individuals from the US and Canada honored with the Carnegie Medal for Civilian Heroism. Remarkably, 4 of the recipients lost their lives during their brave actions. Moore, a teacher at Creekside High School in Irvine, and a pastor at churches in Laguna Niguel and San Juan Capistrano, was the only awardee from California. It means a lot, Moore said. It validates who you are and what you believe in, that you're willing to help mankind, to reach out and give of yourself. It's a great feeling. The Carnegie Hero Fund Commission awards the medal to those who risk their lives to an extraordinary degree while saving or attempting to save the lives of others, according to its website. With the latest group of 22 recipients, the fund has recognized 9,697 heroes since its inception in 1904. I felt honored, Moore said. By the same token, I felt humbled by it. However, the terrible incident, the loss of someone so young, remains vivid in the memories of all involved. For those who tried to save Jana, it's an event that will likely stay with them for the rest of their lives, a haunting reminder of both their bravery and the fragility of life. Jamie Daigle was just 14 years old, full of life and plans for the future. She had graduated from 8th grade with honors and was excited about starting high school at St. Joseph's Academy in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A Louisiana native, she was on vacation in Florida with her friends when the unthinkable happened. It was June 25th, 2005, a sunny day perfect for beach fun. Jamie and her friends were enjoying the waves along a Florida Panhandle beach, a region known for its stunning coastline and year-round pleasant weather. The Gulf of Mexico, ancient and vast, stretched out before them, its waters holding mysteries and dangers alike. But on that fateful day, tragedy struck. Jamie, caught in a moment of adventure, ventured out far into the sea, way too far. Before this trip, Jamie had spent time volunteering at her church's summer camp, showing kindness and care to younger children. Now, her own life hung in the balance, a stark contrast to the joy and innocence she had radiated just days before. As her family and Gonzalez awaited news, their hearts shattered. Ronnie and Wendy Daigle, along with Jamie's older brother Nicholas, were far from the beach where their beloved daughter and sister needed them most. In those moments, a community of strangers became united in a shared mission to save Jamie. The day had begun so well for Jamie and her friend, 14-year-old Felicia Venable. They played on the beach, splashed in the Gulf's waters, and laughed without a care. Everything seemed perfect as they ventured farther out, beyond the safety of the sandbars. As they swam, The distance grew, and they found themselves 100 yards from shore, beyond the watchful eyes of lifeguards or any concerned adults. Why did they go so far? Maybe it was the thrill of adventure, or perhaps they didn't even think about the danger. But then, in an instant, their joy turned to terror. Below the surface, they were being stalked by the ocean's most fearsome predator. A dark shadow circled them. Was it a trick of the light, or something far more sinister? Before they could react, the shadow revealed itself. A shark hell-bent on blood, eyes fixed on its prey. With no one near to help, Jamie and Felicia were defenseless. The shark struck swiftly, clamping down on Jamie's leg. The force pulled her under, leaving Felicia screaming in horror. In that moment, the peace of the beach shattered into chaos. Blood clouded the water as Jamie fought for her life, her leg torn open from hip to knee. The shark, driven by instinct, took part of her with it when it retreated. Felicia was frantic and terrified and struggled to swim to safety. Her screams pierced the air, drawing the attention of other beachgoers. It was in these agonizing moments that the beach became a real battleground between life and death. Strangers rushed to their aid, racing against time to rescue Jamie. They sprang into action, driven by urgency and disbelief. None of them could fully grasp the horror unfolding before their eyes. Chris White, only 23 years old, a state health inspector and newly licensed EMT, didn't know what lurked beneath the waves. He saw a girl screaming, desperately swimming towards shore, and an empty boogie board drifting aimlessly. Did someone drown? Was it an accident? He did not know, and yet without hesitation, he rushed to help. Robert Atkinson, another beachgoer, stood frozen as he spotted a fin and a dark cloud of blood spreading in the water. It felt surreal, like a scene from a terrifying movie. But this was no fiction. This was real life unfolding in front of him, a nightmare come true. Meanwhile, Tim Dicus, a 54-year-old surfer enjoying the waves, heard the screams and sensed something terribly wrong. His instincts kicked in as he paddled closer. There, he saw Felicia racing towards safety, sheer panic etched on her face. Following her gaze, he saw the chilling truth. Jamie Daigle, just 14 years old, lay face down in a pool of crimson water. The sight sent a chill down Dicus's spine. The water around her turned red with blood, a stark reminder of the danger lurking beneath. And there, in the depths, he saw it, an unmistakable silhouette. A shark. In that heart-stopping moment, fear gripped them all. How could this happen? Was Jamie still alive? With each passing second, the situation grew more dire. They were caught in a race against time and nature's ruthless predator. It was clear the animal had viciously attacked the girl, and now it seemed intent on striking again. The beast hovered, ready to pounce once more. Tim Dicus, determined and frantic, placed the unconscious Jamie on his surfboard. But the hungry shark wasn't backing down. It lunged, aiming for Jamie's hand. But Dicus and the others weren't about to surrender. With adrenaline coursing through him, the 54-year-old surfer began towing Jamie toward the safety of the shore. Behind them, the shark closed in, a deadly shadow in the water. Chris White, only 23 and swimming towards them, heard Dicus's frantic shouts about the shark. He passed Felicia Venable, Jamie's terrified friend, unable to make sense of her panicked words. As Chris approached, the urgency of the situation became painfully clear. For a moment, they hung still in the water, fear etched on their faces. They dared not move too much, desperate not to attract the predator's attention. It was Dicus who took the lead, with courage born of desperation. He struck the shark's nose, startling it enough to buy them precious seconds. And so they finally brought Jamie Daigle ashore, but it was too late. The 14-year-old girl, despite all efforts, could not be revived by the paramedics. She was gone. Authorities swiftly closed off a 20-mile stretch of shoreline in response to the tragedy. a precautionary measure to ensure everyone's safety. Yet, by the following day, Sunday, June the 26th, 2005, the beach was reopened. Even as life resumed its course, residents living near the beach were startled to spot a 6-foot shark lingering near the shoreline that morning. The incident cast a shadow of fear and sorrow over the community. On the very beach where Jamie had played just days before, a makeshift memorial emerged, a tribute to a life lost too soon. The weight of the tragedy was very eloquently expressed by Gonzales Police Chief Bill Landry at Jamie's funeral. Reflecting on her untimely death, he remarked, "You know, here was an innocent young lady, enjoying the prime of her life, learning what it means to be a teenager, looking forward to high school, prom, and all the simple joys of life. And now, she won't get to experience any of that." Shark attacks are nothing short of horrifying, especially as they come out of the great depths of the ocean, a place we know such little about. Sadly for Jamie and Jana, they are not the only notable victims of these terrifying shark attacks. If you want to see more animal attack content, make sure you check out this video, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe out there, friends.
In other news, a 16-year-old boy is dead after a suspected shark attack in Trelawney. The teen's dismembered body washed ashore the Falmouth fishing village earlier today.
Today, we are going to dive into the heartbreaking story of Jamari Reed, a 16-year-old Jamaican high school student whose passion for spearfishing tragically led to a fatal encounter with a shark off Jamaica's north coast. The incident happened in August 2024. This shocking tragedy has not only left his family in mourning, but also caused a stir in the local community and started discussions about the safety of the sea and the unpredictable behavior of ocean creatures. Let's cover the entire story from beginning to end and get started with the video.
See him see fish swimming, and see fish drop beside me, and as Paul drop beside me, take him myself. Me not attack him, me not beat him. We get a chance to move and me move.
Jamari Reed was more than just another number in the rare occurrences of shark attacks. He was a lively young man, full of life and dreams, who always had passion and love for the ocean and was skilled as a diver. According to his mother, Laverne Robinson, Jamari grew up in Trelawney, a parish located just east of the popular vacation destination of Montego Bay. He had been fishing in the sea since childhood. The beautiful seaside of Trelawney, with its absolutely pretty waters and rich sea life, had always been Jamari's playground. He was fascinated by this place.
So bad, man. What it is still, yeah?
In fact, it was a place where he found happiness, adventure, and a feeling of freedom. However, who could have predicted that these same waters would become the backdrop for a heartbreaking tragedy for young Jamari? On the morning of August 26, 2024, before the sun had fully risen over the Caribbean horizon, Jamari Reed, a high school student from Trelawney, followed his routine and set out to do what he loved.
Careful, look for the unexpected. Look for the unexpected and don't panic. You can't panic a scene or coward. So you have to have the bravest mind and heart every time. You have to look out for the unexpected. You're in the boat, you're alone. Monsters coming from all around, you don't know where they're coming from. You're going to fish for half pound, but a bigger one going to feed him. So that you have to look for the unexpected at sea.
But who knew it would be his last spearfishing trip? Early in the morning, he ventured into the water, which was a routine activity for him. Fishing in these waters, since he was a young boy, spearfishing was not just a hobby for Jamari. In fact, it was a skill he had developed over the years, and it was a way for him to connect with nature and provide for his family. It was a solo trip, a decision that would later be questioned by many, including his father, Michael Reed. Despite his skills and experience, that day was quite different. As he was diving beneath the water, he had no idea of the danger that was approaching around him. His family, unaware of the situation he was facing, was expecting him to return home, as he always did, thinking about his catches and the beauty of the underwater world. However,
As the day turned into night and Jamari did not come back, concern began to grow among his family and friends. The worry started to intensify as evening approached, and there was still no sign of the young man. His bicycle, clothes, shoes, and phone remained untouched on the beach near the fisherman's village in Falmouth, a silent sign that he planned to return, but a return that would never happen. When Jamari failed to return home, the community, close like many seaside towns, quickly came together. His family and friends immediately started searching for him. Soon, local fishermen and divers joined in, looking through the waters where Jamari used to fish. The mood and vibe were different that day, with hope mixed with fear as the hours passed with no sign of the missing teen. Their hearts grew heavier as they searched the area, hoping to find him safe and sound. It was a desperate search, filled with fear and anxiety, each passing hour making their dread even stronger. Finally, on Tuesday, August 27th, the dark reality of the situation emerged. A group of divers discovered something horrible near the fisherman's village. What they found wasn't full of life, but something that would haunt and bring pain to his family for the rest of their lives. The body of the vibrant young man was no longer vibrant. When they recovered his body, they found unmistakable marks of a violent encounter. The shocking sight revealed the terrible truth. Jamari had been attacked by a shark. His body was found with several severe injuries, including the loss of his head and left arm. The community was left in shock as they confronted the reality of what had happened. Who could have known that the sea he had loved so much had become the stage for an unimaginable tragedy? News of Jamari's tragic death spread quickly through the community. People gathered at the beach to mourn, their faces reflecting disbelief and sorrow. Fishermen who had worked alongside Jamari before could not believe the loss of the young life. The sight of Jamari's remains being brought to shore was a sad scene, one that reminded everyone of the harsh truths of nature's unpredictable brutality. Jamari's father, Michael, was present when his son's body was found. People shared the heart-wrenching scene of a father breaking down in tears after seeing his young son's body. He expressed, "I can't believe that he went to sea by himself, and that was the outcome. Sad to know. I feel so bad." Jamari's mother, Lavon, expressed her disbelief that her son had chosen to fish alone. She talked about the innocence and experience of her child. She expressed, "Right now, I don't know what to say. Jamari has been going to the sea since he was small." The community's sadness was evident as they began to gather and remember Jamari. They shared stories of his laughter, kindness, and adventurous spirit. Questions started to arise. How could this happen in a place that was so well known to local fishermen and divers? Why did Jamari go out alone, despite the known risks? And perhaps most importantly, what type of shark was responsible for this attack? A local fisherman, Christopher Reynolds, shared some insight into the issue. According to Reynolds, the group of divers who found Jamari's body also mentioned seeing a big tiger shark nearby. This sighting matched the nature of the attack, as tiger sharks are known for their strength, size, and capability of causing severe injuries, as happened in this tragic event. The mention of a tiger shark spread fear throughout the community. Tiger sharks are not typically aggressive towards humans, and in fact, are known for being less selective in their feeding habits compared to other species of sharks. An interesting fact about them is that they are often referred to as the garbage cans of the sea due to their willingness to eat almost anything they encounter. As news of the attack spread, it caught the attention of shark researchers and marine biologists worldwide. The International Shark Attack File, administered by the Florida Museum of Natural History and the American Elasma Branch Society, quickly took note of the incident. Their records showed that unprovoked shark attacks in Jamaica were incredibly rare. Only 3 had been reported since 1749. This is what makes this case unique and important for people to hear about. When news of the tragedy broke, many shark researchers and marine biologists worldwide began investigating the incident. The International Shark Attack file, administered by the Florida Museum of Natural History and the American Elasmo Branch Society, quickly took note of the event. Their records showed that shark attacks in Jamaica are exceptionally rare, with only 3 recorded since 1749. These statistics highlighted the exceptional background of Jamari's case. In a global context, shark attacks remain an infrequent occurrence. The International Shark Attack file reported 69 confirmed unprovoked attacks worldwide in 2023, resulting in 14 fatalities. While these numbers are tragic for those affected, they are still very small compared to many other dangers that people face in their everyday lives, and are also lower than the numbers from a century ago. After a few days of the tragedy, the local community's sadness began to mix with anger and a desire for revenge. They started to call on the authorities to locate and kill the shark responsible for the attack. This reaction was somewhat understandable in the context of sadness and shock, but it started a debate among marine conservationists and local authorities. Shark experts quickly came to point out that killing sharks is not a powerful method for preventing future attacks. They started to argue that these actions could disturb the delicate balance of marine ecosystems and could even increase the risk of human-shark encounters by changing shark behavior. So instead of killing the sharks, they debated increasing education about sharks' behavior among the people and improving safety measures for those entering the water. When the community was grappling with these issues, more details about Jamari's life emerged, painting a picture of a young man with a bright future ahead of him. Jamari was a sharp student at William Knibb Memorial High School, named after the famous British abolitionist. He was preparing for the new school year, which was set to start the following week. His tragic death not only took him away from his family as a beloved son and brother, but also deprived his school and community of a promising young individual. Jamari's father, Michael Reed, talked to local media about his son's love for spearfishing. With a voice full of sadness and regret, he shared that he had tried to dissuade Jamari from taking on this risky hobby and going out alone. As the community reflects on this loss, they are also reminded of the need for safety and security in the ocean. Senior fishermen have shared their wisdom, cautioning others to always be aware of their surroundings. Their words resonated deeply with those who knew Jamari and served as a reminder of the beauty and dangers of the sea. As days turned into weeks, the incident made changes in the community. At first, people were shocked, but then they began to think and look for meaning. The tragedy led to new talks about ocean safety and the importance of respecting marine life. Local schools added lessons about how sharks behave and how to stay safe in the ocean to their classes. They wanted to teach kids about the dangers of sharing the environment with wild animals. The incident also greatly affected the local tourism industry. Falmouth, known for its history and proximity to Montego Bay, is growing as a tourist destination. However, the shark attack raised questions about the safety of water activities in the area. Local tour operators and hotels had to work hard to make visitors feel safe while also implementing new safety measures. Fishermen and community leaders are asking the government to plan something that can keep tourism safe and not harm sea life. They raised questions about the importance of responsible tourism practices that keep both the community and the ocean environment safe. While there were mostly negative aspects of this tragedy, one positive thing that emerged was an increased interest in marine conservation among local youth. Many of Jamari's friends, inspired by his love for the ocean, began to take a more active interest in marine life and conservation efforts. Local environmental groups reported a surge in volunteers for beach cleanups and coral reef monitoring programs. This rising awareness about the environment started to prompt more discussions about the health of Jamaica's ocean life. Experts explained that maintaining healthy shark populations is also important to keep the balance of the ocean. This opportunity was used to teach people about how sharks work, their role in helping the ocean, and the dangers they face from overfishing and the destruction of their habitats. Marine predators are highly valuable as they help regulate the populations of other marine species. Understanding this balance is essential for fostering a safe coexistence between humans and sharks. After the emotional tragedy of Jamari's death, the community is still shaken. His family is going through pain and sadness, trying to find a way to comprehend how a routine activity could lead to such a devastating outcome. The absence of Jamari at family gatherings, school events, and everyday life is still noticeable to his loved ones and has left a void that cannot be filled. Michael Reed and Laverne Robinson face the harsh side of the reality, which is living a life without their beloved son. The sweet memories of Jamari's laughter, love for life, and passion for spearfishing now remind everyone of what they have lost. The support of the community has been very important during this tough time, as friends and family come together to help and comfort the family. After some weeks passed, the community has finally started the difficult process of healing. People and Jamari's loved ones held a memorial service for him at his high school, which was attended by hundreds of students, teachers, and community members. Speakers at the service remembered Jamari not just as a victim of a sad accident, but as a young man who lived life to the fullest, following his passions with excitement and bravery. The incident also started a bigger national conversation in Jamaica about ocean safety and the need for better rules regarding solo diving and spearfishing. Some people wanted stricter regulations on when and where these activities could occur, while others stressed the importance of better education and training for those who participate in water sports. The story of Jamari Reed is a strong reminder of how unpredictable life, the ocean, and its creatures can be. It portrays the image that nothing in life is promised except death and pain. It teaches us the need for respect, caution, and education when it comes to our interactions with the marine environment. While the tragedy was immensely painful for the community, it also started important conversations about conservation, safety, and our relationship with the natural world. As we end today's episode, we feel a complex mix of emotions: sadness for a life taken too soon, inspiration from a young man's passion, and a new appreciation for the ocean's power and mystery. There's no doubt that Jamari's story is a tragedy, but it carries important lessons about respect for nature, the value of community, and the strong human spirit in the face of loss. Remember, if you're planning to engage in activities in the ocean, prioritize safety and check for security measures first. Go into the ocean with a friend and inform family or friends about your plans. Educate yourself about the marine life in the area. The ocean is a place of incredible beauty and adventure, but it requires our respect and caution. Thanks for watching. I believe Jamari Reed's story is a sad reminder of how unpredictable life can be and how important safety is in our oceans. Even though he was taken too soon, his memory will encourage talks about protecting our community and respecting the waters we love. What do you think after hearing about this tragedy? Please share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content. Take care.
Imagine the unthinkable. A beautiful, serene day suddenly morphs into a desperate fight for survival. For most of us, these are just fleeting imaginations that we keep locked away. But for some, they become terrifying realities. Take Michael Ness, for instance. One fateful day, he was confronted with an unimaginable decision as a monstrous great white shark zeroed in on his 16-year-old son, Nathan. What do you do when a nightmare turns real? It was the 21st of April, 2024, and a seemingly ordinary fishing trip turned into a nightmare that no one on West Beach near Adelaide, South Australia would ever forget. At around 1:40 p.m, the tranquility of the afternoon was shattered by the horrific cries of a teenage boy. Nathan Ness, a spirited 16-year-old, was enjoying a day out with his father and two younger siblings. They were casting their fishing lines into the sparkling water, hoping for a great catch. Little did they know, they were about to encounter a true terror of the deep, a great white shark. Nathan, with the recklessness only a teenager could muster, managed to catch the fearsome shark. His heart raced with excitement as he reeled it in, ready to immortalize his triumph with a photo. But as he posed, clutching the shark by its tail, a dreadful twist awaited him, literally. His younger sister, Megan, would later recall with a trembling voice, he thought it would be cool if he held the tail so he could get a photo with it. And then the shark turned around and bit his leg. Can you imagine the shock? The sheer, paralyzing fear that must have coursed through Nathan in that split second. Michael Ness, Nathan's father, watched in horror as the scene unfolded. When he picked it up, it swung around and grabbed hold of his leg, he recounted, his voice thick with emotion. I saw the shark latched onto him, and I saw bits of fat squish out of his leg. It was horrible. Those words paint a picture too gruesome to fathom. How did he hold himself together? Nathan's scream pierced the air. A desperate plea for help. Without hesitation, Michael sprang into action. In a moment of sheer bravery, he pried the shark's mouth open, freeing his son from its deadly grip. The agony, the desperation in that moment. Can you feel it? As Michael sped back to shore, Nathan, displaying remarkable composure, called for an ambulance. South Australian paramedics arrived swiftly, tending to the boy who had just survived a brush with death itself. They rushed him to Royal Adelaide Hospital, where he was treated and found to be in stable condition. Brodie and Colin North, seasoned fishermen, couldn't believe their eyes. Catching sharks in the waters off West Beach was unheard of. As they recounted the incident, their faces bore the marks of astonishment and concern. They're lucky they got away with just a few stitches, considering the size of the shark and how aggressive they get when pulled onto a boat, Brodie said, his voice heavy with relief. The mere thought of 3 children on board during such a harrowing encounter sent shivers down their spines. The kid is lucky he didn't get bitten on a main artery, Brodie added, his words hanging in the air like a dark cloud. The gravity of what could have happened was almost too much to bear. Colin North chimed in, shaking his head in disbelief. I've never seen anyone pull up a shark of any kind here. My word, he was very fortunate. The waters of South Australia have a grim history. In the past 12 months, there have been several shark attacks, 3 of them fatal. The memory of a tragedy from just last December still lingers. A teenage boy, full of life and dreams, lost his life in a shark attack at a popular holiday and surfing spot. The attack occurred near Ethel Beach in the Innes National Park on the Yorke Peninsula, a serene place now marred by horror. Local resident Marty Goody, a seasoned surfer who had spent decades riding the waves, remembered the chilling event vividly. He was about 30 to 40 meters off the shore, Marty estimated. The waters had always been home to sharks, but lately their numbers seemed to be increasing, casting a shadow over the once carefree beach. South Australia Police, sombre and resolute, released a statement detailing the attack. On that fateful Thursday at 1:30 p.m. local time, they were alerted to the tragedy. Sadly, the body of a teenage boy was recovered from the water, the statement read. The age of the boy remained undisclosed. A small mercy in the face of such sorrow. The officers prepared a report for the coroner, each word a reminder of a life cut tragically short. Ethel Beach, a 400-meter-long stretch of sandy surf, popular with surfers and tourists alike, now bore the weight of this dark event. With waves averaging 1.5 meters, it was a paradise turned perilous. Marty Goody's words said it all. There does seem to be a lot more of them now. The waters of South Australia, beautiful yet treacherous, now may never be looked at the same way again. Meanwhile, on the other side of the globe, Lulu Gribbin would go to Walton County Beach and wake up in the hospital hours later with her life turned upside down. Matthew Liddell was enjoying a sunny afternoon, playing in the sand with his 8-year-old son at Seacrest Beach on Florida's Gulf Coast. It was a picture-perfect day until the serenity was shattered by piercing screams. His wife and in-laws were in the water, laughing and splashing, when the screams started ringing the air. 2 separate shark attacks had left a 45-year-old woman from Virginia and 15-year-old Lulu Gribbin from Mountain Brook critically injured. The air was thick with panic, and the nightmare was only beginning. Lulu's friend, 16-year-old McCrae Faust, was also bitten, but miraculously was not seriously hurt. The attacks happened less than 2 hours and just 4 miles apart, along the popular vacation spot known as 30A, transforming a day of fun into one of sheer terror. Matthew was at the spot where the 2 teens were attacked. You just heard people screaming, and I wasn't sure why. Everybody on the shore was screaming too, Liddell recalled, his voice trembling with the memory. They started yelling, "Shark, shark, shark." So I stood up right at the water break. What he saw next froze him in his tracks. A large pool of blood, about 50 yards out, stained the water. The image was surreal, like something out of a horror movie. Everyone was just kind of standing there, paralyzed with fear, he said. So I ran out there. I didn't think about anything. I just ran. In the midst of the chaos, Liddell reached a man who was holding onto Lulu by her arm. She'd been attacked while looking for sand dollars with friends near the sandbar. It looked like he was fighting off the shark or keeping her away from it, Liddell said. He was right there where everything went down. Can you imagine the sheer terror? The helplessness as you see someone fighting for their life against such a formidable predator. This was no ordinary day at the beach. It was a harrowing ordeal that would leave scars far deeper than the physical ones. Matthew Liddell's heart was pounding as he yelled at the man holding Lulu. "Give me the girl, give me the girl. We've got to get her back to the beach," he screamed, his voice raw with urgency. The man handed Lulu over to Liddell. She was alert, but her voice was weak as she said, "I can't walk." It was then that Liddell saw the extent of her injuries. His heart sank. "Stay with me. Talk to me," he urged, desperately trying to keep her conscious. What scared him most was the lack of blood. "She wasn't bleeding anymore," he said, his voice haunted. "That's what's scary about that. She had lost that much blood." Liddell raced to the shore with Lulu in his arms. Thankfully, 2 doctors, Dr. Ryan Forbes and Dr. Muhammad Ali, and a nurse who happened to be on vacation, sprang into action. Liddell handed Lulu over to the professionals. "I was just part of the chain," he said. "I got her from where the attack happened to the beach." Once at the beach, the doctors immediately began treating Lulu, using blankets, tourniquets, and towels to stop the bleeding. "We made sure we got her down to the sand properly," Liddell said, his voice filled with hope. "I hope I did the right thing." As the chaos continued, Liddell's wife pulled him and their son away from the immediate scene. The area around Lulu and McCrae, who was bitten on the foot, was crowded with people. "That's when everything got hysterical," he recalled, the panic of the moment still fresh in his mind. The Liddell family waited anxiously until both girls were transported to the hospital. "We felt horrible for their family, for those girls," Liddell said, his voice heavy with emotion. The next day, Matthew Liddell and his family returned to Memphis, their hearts heavy with the events they had witnessed. It took a few anxious days, but they finally managed to reach the Gribbin family at the hospital on Monday. Lulu had been airlifted to Sacred Heart Hospital in Pensacola, where she immediately underwent surgery. The news from the surgeons was devastating. The shark had bitten off Lulu's left hand, and they had to amputate her right leg halfway from her knee to her hip. She had also lost 2/3 of her blood. How did she survive such a horrific ordeal? On Monday, Lulu's mother, Anne Blair Gribbin, gave an update on her daughter's condition. Nothing about her personality or funny, smart-loving self has changed one bit. She may have lost her hand and her leg, but she is here, and we are truly grateful for that, she wrote. Can you imagine the strength it takes to maintain such a positive spirit after losing so much? Lulu underwent more surgery to clean out her wounds, flush out any bacteria, and begin closing up the amputation sites. Surgeons searched for shark teeth in her wounds, teeth that could have been a painful souvenir, but found none. Lulu, ever the resilient one, had said if they found any, she wanted them. Despite her severe injuries, Lulu's determination shone through. She dreams of becoming a doctor, and when a central line was removed from below her right shoulder, she asked to watch. The nurses brought in a big mirror so she could see exactly what they were doing. How incredible is that, to be so curious and brave in such a situation? Lulu remained alert and spoke with visitors, including 2 of her rescuers. Lydell was among them, finally able to see the girl he'd helped save. It was great to express to both of them how eternally grateful we are for being so brave to go into waters with a shark to save our sweet girl. Lulu was able to tell them, "Thank you for saving my life," Anne wrote. Lydell was overwhelmed with relief. "I was so glad to hear she was alive, because after seeing that, I wasn't sure," he said. Despite everything, Lulu sounded great. She even talked about the attack, recounting how the shark bit her friend first, then her hand, and finally her leg. Lydell couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. "I feel bad, because I feel like her life got stolen from her," he said, "but she seems to be in good spirits about it." In the end, what mattered most was that Lulu survived. "She made it," Lydell said. "That's the most important thing. The nightmare had not taken her spirit. This kid had kept fighting." Rachel Lydell took to Facebook to share the harrowing experience her family had gone through. Without giving it a second thought, Matt ran into the huge amount of blood in the ocean and carried her to shore, putting his life in great danger. She wrote, "I can't express how much admiration I have for him. Can you imagine the sheer bravery required to dive into such a perilous situation?" Rachel's words were filled with emotion. "I absolutely know God put him there for a reason, and it was Matt's selfless sacrifice that helped save her." The thought of divine intervention, of being in the right place at the right time, brought a sense of profound gratitude. But Matt Lydell didn't see himself as a hero. "I was part of multiple people that were helping," he humbly insisted. Yet the ordeal was undeniably terrifying. "I've thought about it every minute, all day long, since it happened Friday," he admitted, the memory haunting him. Despite the trauma, Lydell hoped to stay connected with Lulu. For everything she's gone through, she was very thankful and appreciative, he said, marveling at her resilience. "She had more energy than I thought she would. How could someone so young and injured still radiate such strength?" Lydell was touched by Lulu's sweetness and determination. "She seemed very sweet and said she wanted to send me something," he shared. "I plan to continue to follow her recovery. I would love to see her progress." As of the 12th of June, the following update has been posted by Lulu's mother. Today is Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. It has been 4 days since Lulu was bitten by a shark at the beach. Lulu has continued to surprise Joe and me with her attitude, strength, humor, and understanding of what has happened to her. I think she has also surprised her doctors and nurses with how miraculous her journey has been up until this point. Today was a day of recovery after her surgery. It has been a good day, and we'll post more about her recovery tomorrow. Not sure if you're aware, but Lulu is one of our 4 children. She's also an identical twin. Her twin sister Ellie was on the beach with her that day. She also experienced the shark attack, but from a different perspective. She wanted to have a chance to tell her story, and so she has written about what she has experienced. And the way Ellie describes the shark attack is nothing short of bone-chilling. Probably around 2 minutes after the guys had gotten out of the water, a shark appeared. Lila said, "What's that?" Then Adele screamed, "Shark!" Immediately, Lee and I started swimming for our lives. We didn't look back. I didn't even know if the rest of the group was following us. Suddenly, I heard Lulu yell something like, "Stay calm." I finally get close to the shore, so I stand up and turn around, and my life was changed forever. Instantly, I only see blood. She went on to describe how the very ocean brought about the terrifying realization for her. The entire ocean is red. Ocean waves bring the blood closer. And then I see my sister. She is screaming for help, and then she reaches out for Lila because she is the closest to her, and I can see her arm. Her arm without her hand, it was just a limb of flesh, blood, and muscle. No hand to be found. I start crying and screaming, "That's my sister!" I immediately run back into the water, but then realize there is a man picking her up to bring her to safety. At this point, everyone is out of the water, but McCrae, Lulu, and Steve, the guy who saved Lulu. I run up to two random girls and break down. They were great comfort and gave such good affirmation and hugs. Thank you, Kate and Carson. But it was at this point that Ellie's relief turned into paralyzing horror. As soon as Lulu is near the shore, more guys run in to help her. I immediately see that not only her hand was gone, but basically her whole leg. I can see her whole thigh bone, and there is barely any muscle left. I don't even think her foot was still there, but I do not remember. They laid her down, and I just stared at her leg, but did not cry. I could not cry. I had to be there for Lulu. As of now, Lulu is still in the hospital and recovering. If you want to keep following her story, make sure you keep up with her mother's blog, where she updates everyone on Lulu's condition daily. Shark attacks can be horrifying, as they are one of the only predators capable of making you beg for God's forgiveness. If you want to see more animal attack content, make sure you check out this video, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe out there, friends.
A man was attacked by a shark at the very same beach where he'd been attacked once before, and the details of this horrifying story are almost unreal. How could fate throw him into the same nightmare twice? It's one of those stories that makes you wonder, just how much luck does one guy need to survive? Or Cole Tashman getting bitten by a shark wasn't exactly new territory. 12 years ago, while surfing at Bathtub Beach in Stuart, Florida, he narrowly escaped with a small bite from a shark. But this time, the stakes were much higher. Bathtub Beach isn't your typical surf spot. The area is famous for the bathtub effect, where waves break and create a calm, shallow pool at low tide. It also has the unique benefit of reducing erosion. But for Cole and his family, the beach holds a much deeper connection. It's the place where Cole got his first shark bite as a teenager, leaving him with a scar on his hand, a reminder of the infamous shark pit. On October 25th, Cole and his friends, Hunter Rowland and Zach Bucolo, along with his fiancée, Anna Pisi, headed to Bathtub Beach to remember a recently lost friend. After a quiet prayer, Cole paddled out into the water, heading straight for the shark pit. He knew the risks, but he wasn't expecting what would happen next. "I kind of paddled down into the shark pit and had a moment, and I was just sitting there," he later recalled. His fiancée Anna was filming the moment from the beach house, capturing the peaceful scene as Cole floated far from the shore. But the calm would soon be shattered. Out of nowhere, Cole felt the jaws of a shark clamp down on his feet. He immediately recognized the force of the bite as being from a large predator, likely a bull or tiger shark, both notorious for their aggression. "I got bit by a shark," he yelled, his voice tinged with panic. "I need to get out of the water." Anna, hearing the urgency in his voice, rushed downstairs in a panic. "I grabbed a towel and ran outside," she recalled. "I had no idea where he was bitten, and when I saw him, the blood was everywhere." Cole struggled to paddle back to shore, the shark's bite leaving deep wounds on his feet. His friends didn't hesitate, using the leashes from his surfboard. They fashioned a tourniquet around his thighs to try and stop the bleeding. It was a race against time, but they didn't want to wait for an ambulance. Instead, they quickly decided to drive him to the nearest hospital. As they sped through the streets, Cole faded in and out of consciousness. His friends splashed water on his face and urged him to stay awake. "I saw complete whiteness," Cole later said. "I was passing out. I can't stay awake." Despite the odds, they managed to make it to Cleveland Clinic Martin North Hospital and then transferred him to St. Mary's Medical Center in West Palm Beach. Dr. Robert Borrego and Dr. Ibrahim Jabbour were waiting for Cole. After 2 surgeries and 93 stitches, Cole's recovery began. He had suffered severed tendons, deep tissue wounds, and almost lost all the skin on his feet. Dr. Borrego, an expert in shark attack recovery, told Cole it could take up to 6 months for him to fully recover. But Cole wasn't about to let this stop him. "The difference between this bite and my first one is like night and day," Cole said. "It's like the difference between a high school athlete and an Olympic athlete." Despite the traumatic injury, he wasn't deterred. "I'll be back out there," he promised. In the midst of the pain and chaos, Cole found comfort in something deeper. He believes his late friend, the one they had come to honor that day, was looking out for him. "I didn't lose any toes," he said. "He was watching over me. But he also had a message. Don't surf in that area anymore." His mother's reaction was more than understandable. She was mortified by the attack and would prefer Cole never surf there again. But Cole had a different perspective. "I can't wait to surf there again," he said. His love for the ocean and the thrill of the waves was too strong to keep him away. Growing up in the waters of Bathtub Beach, Cole had always known the dangers of the shark-infested waters. As a competitive surfer and fishing captain, he had seen his share of shark bites. "Every one of the boys has been bit," he admitted, not seeing it as something out of the ordinary. But he made it clear, this spot is not for beginners. "If you're a novice, we don't want you there," Cole warned. "You're putting yourself in danger." His advice for surfers looking to avoid shark encounters is simple. Surf beaches. Don't surf reefs. After the shocking shark attack, Tashman knew he had to clear up a major misconception about sharks. "People have all sorts of crazy ideas," he said, shaking his head. "They don't come back for seconds." He stressed that sharks aren't the mindless killing machines some make them out to be. Instead, they're opportunistic feeders, more likely to scavenge than to go on a hunting spree. "I probably look like some kind of dying fish out there on my board," he explained, adding that he wasn't exactly on top of his game when it happened. It's wild to think that this wasn't even Tashman's first run-in with a shark. When he was just 16, he was bitten by a 4-foot blacktip reef shark pup at the very same beach. The bite required 12 stitches and left a scar that still serves as a reminder of how unpredictable the ocean can be. But when Tashman compared that experience to the attack he'd just survived, he had a different perspective. "That was nothing compared to this," Tashman said, his voice steady but with a grin. "It's like comparing a high school athlete to an Olympic athlete." Despite the horror of what happened, Tashman isn't ready to give up surfing anytime soon. As a passionate surfer and local fishing charter captain, he's been around the ocean long enough to know that this won't keep him out of the water for good. "I'll definitely be back out there," he said with a laugh. "This beach? Maybe not, but I'll be surfing again." He's not about to let a shark scare him away from doing what he loves. The community, deeply shaken by what happened, has rallied together in support. They've organized fundraisers and events to help cover Tashman's medical expenses, as well as his lost income, especially since he doesn't have insurance. The local surf shops have jumped in with fishing charter and surfboard raffles, all aimed at helping Tashman get back on his feet. Tashman's girlfriend also launched a GoFundMe page to help with his recovery and make sure he can continue sharing his love for the ocean with others. The support has been overwhelming, and it's clear that Tashman's connection to his community runs deep. Meanwhile, his friend Cole, a fellow surfer, has a different attitude about the risks that come with their sport. He lives for the thrill, and nothing, not even the threat of a shark attack, is going to keep him from the waves. "I wouldn't care if I lost my arm. I'm not leaving the water," Cole joked, glancing at his mom in the room. "Sorry, Mum. Chill out. Everything's fine." In fact, the statistics are stacked against them. According to the Florida Museum, surfers account for 42% of shark attack victims. And Florida, where Cole lives, is a hotspot for shark activity, responsible for nearly a quarter of unprovoked shark bites worldwide, as noted in the museum's International Shark Attack File. It's a dangerous place to be for anyone who spends time in the ocean. But Cole, like many surfers, isn't deterred. He looks up to legends like Bethany Hamilton, the surfer who lost her arm to a shark attack in 2003, but came back stronger than ever. Despite her injury, Hamilton remains one of the top surfers in the world, inspiring athletes everywhere, especially women in sports. "If you've been bitten, you're not going to quit," Cole said confidently. "Look at Bethany. She's still out there, still killing it, and she inspires a lot of people, especially women athletes." Just days after Cole's attack, his close friend Pesey set up a GoFundMe page for his medical expenses, which has raised more than $8,000. Ohana Surf Shop, where Cole's been a member of the surf team since he was a kid, quickly launched a raffle fundraiser with prizes like a new Thrashcraft surfboard and a fishing trip with OH Boy Charters. Every penny raised goes directly toward Cole's medical care. "We've known Cole since he was 10, said Jordan Schwartz, the owner of Ohana Surf Shop. "We've watched him grow into a hard-working, respectable adult. He's always helping with the community, so it's only right we give back to him." For Cole, it's all about the family bond that comes with being part of the surf community. It's that connection that has made this experience feel a little less scary and a lot more supportive. "It's Ohana," he said, grinning widely. "That means family. No one gets left behind. It's a beautiful thing." Bathtub Beach in Stuart, Florida, may seem like the perfect place for a day of surfing or a family outing. But there's a dark side to this picturesque location: shark attacks. Over the years, this beach has been the site of several shark encounters, which have made it infamous despite its serene reputation. One of the most unforgettable cases occurred in October 2024, when Cole Tashman, now 28, suffered a shark bite at the same beach where he was attacked as a teenager. Imagine experiencing the same terror twice. This time, the shark was much larger. The attack required 2 surgeries and nearly 100 stitches, but Tashman survived and managed to return to shore with the help of his friends. This wasn't Bathtub Beach's first shark attack. In 2019, a swimmer was attacked while enjoying the water. Though the injuries were less severe, the attack was still alarming, underscoring the unpredictability of Florida's coastal waters. The shark, believed to be a smaller species like a blacktip or spinner shark, bit the victim's leg, but fortunately did not cause life-threatening harm. So, what is it about Bathtub Beach that seems to attract sharks? Experts suggest it's the combination of shallow waters and abundant marine life, which draw in sharks looking for food. Species like bull sharks are particularly attracted to these areas. Their presence in these shallow waters, especially near the St. Lucie Inlet, is part of why Bathtub Beach has seen a few dangerous encounters. These sharks are known for coming closer to shore than other species, and their aggressive feeding behavior can lead to mistaken bites on surfers or swimmers. However, despite these rare attacks, Bathtub Beach is still a popular destination. It's important to remember that shark attacks are extremely rare compared to the millions of people who visit Florida's beaches each year. Statistically, Florida has more shark attacks than any other state, but the risk of being bitten is still incredibly low. Shark experts advise taking basic precautions, like avoiding swimming at dawn or dusk, and staying away from areas with large schools of fish or seals to reduce the already small chances of an encounter. For those like Tashman, the lure of the ocean is hard to resist. Despite surviving 2 attacks, he plans to return to surfing once he has fully recovered. Even shark attacks can't keep a true surfer away from the waves. Bathtub Beach remains a beautiful, albeit unpredictable spot for those who respect the ocean's power and know how to stay safe. Sharks are often portrayed as man-eating predators, but the reality is far less dramatic. In fact, sharks don't usually attack humans because they're hungry for us. They just make a mistake. Picture this. A shark sees a surfer floating on a board and thinks it's a seal. When the shark bites, it quickly realizes the error and releases the person, often without causing serious harm. Sharks are actually more interested in eating creatures like seals, which are higher in fat and much more nutritious for them. Sharks are curious creatures, and sometimes they bite because they're exploring. They use their mouths to feel objects in the water. This can lead to accidental bites if a human looks like something a shark would typically prey on. But that doesn't mean sharks want to make a meal out of us. It's more like a shark doing a little taste test to see if something's worth eating. When they realize we're not what they're looking for, they often spit us out and swim away. But here's the kicker. Sometimes humans unwittingly provoke sharks. Things like splashing around in the water, wearing shiny jewelry, or even swimming in areas with a lot of fish can attract sharks. Think of it like this. When you throw a party and someone shows up uninvited, things can get awkward. Surfers, in particular, can find themselves in the wrong place at the wrong time because they often ride the waves near sandbars or drop-offs, which are prime hunting grounds for sharks. So, when is the peak time for shark attacks? It happens most often in the warmer months, especially during summer, when more people are in the water. The ocean isn't just crowded with humans. Sharks are also more active and closer to shore during this time. Add to that the fact that sharks are more active at dawn and dusk, and it makes sense why these are the times when most attacks occur. However, don't panic. Shark attacks are still extremely rare. Statistically, you're far more likely to win the lottery than to be bitten by a shark. Despite what we see in movies, sharks aren't lurking around every corner, ready to strike. The number of attacks worldwide is around 60 to 65 per year. To stay safe, experts recommend avoiding murky water, swimming in groups, and being cautious during the early morning or late afternoon hours. If you keep these tips in mind, you're much more likely to have a safe and enjoyable time in the ocean. Cole Tashman's encounter with a shark could have easily been a nightmare. After surviving a shark attack as a teenager, he probably thought he was done with the ocean's darker side. But then, a decade later, the unthinkable happened again. This time, a much larger shark, likely a bull or tiger shark, bit into his foot. It's almost as if the ocean had a memory of its own, bringing Cole back to face the fear he'd survived. But what's truly remarkable about Cole's story isn't just the attack, it's his resilience. Despite the terrifying bite, which left him severely injured and needing multiple surgeries, Cole's spirit remained unbroken. You might think one shark attack would be enough to send anyone running from the water, but not Cole. He's determined to get back to surfing once he recovers, proving that strength doesn't just come from physical healing, it comes from mental toughness too. The story also serves as a reminder of how unpredictable shark encounters can be. While rare, shark attacks still happen, especially in areas like Bathtub Beach, where shallow waters and feeding grounds increase the chance of interaction. But here's the thing, shark attacks are still far from the norm. With millions of people visiting the ocean every year, the chances of a dangerous encounter are small. And yet, Cole's journey proves that even in the face of fear, we can choose to keep going, just with a bit more caution and respect for nature. Cole's story is a powerful reminder that the ocean can be both beautiful and unpredictable. After 2 shark attacks, he's not giving up on surfing. He's determined to get back out there. But what about you? Would you still brave the waves after such a close call? Or would you steer clear of the water? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories. Thanks for watching.
Mr. Smith was killed
Experts
while
have confirmed
surfing.
reports 2 sharks
The
were
beaches
involved.
around Gracetown
One
remain
surfer.
closed.
The lower half of his body rose up and I could see the extent of his wounds and how much damage the sharks had inflicted on him. There was no sign of life at all.
It was July 10th of 2004, and local surfers, including 29-year-old Bradley Smith from Shoalwater, were gathered just off the coast of the Indian Ocean at southwestern Australia's Left-Handers Beach near Gracetown on what was a seemingly ideal day for a surf. To Brad, surfing wasn't merely a hobby. It was in fact, according to those closest to him, like his parents Jenny and Ian, more of a career or way of life.
He was one of those surfing blokes for whom surfing was really the career.
That's right, he had to have the money, so he did sort of 6 months work, so to speak, and then he'd save up enough money, next 6 months he'd be nothing but surfing.
On arrival, an eager Brad and his group pretty much immediately commenced with routine preparations, checking surfing conditions, waxing boards, and suiting up. Left-Handers Beach, favored for its consistent breaks, was busy with surfers and spectators alike, all drawn to the spot for its reputation as a friendly and accessible surfing location. With ideal surfing conditions, coupled with clear skies and large but manageable waves, Brad, along with a friend and 3 others, were all smiles as they entered the water, excited to make the most of the awesome swells before them. As the group enjoyed their surf, choosing which waves to ride with the practiced eyes of seasoned surfers, they were of course oblivious to the imminent danger lurking beneath the surface. In what seemed like the blink of an eye, a loud, piercing scream suddenly shattered the tranquil ambience when a massive, approximately 4.5 meter or 14.7 foot long great white shark struck him from below, partially breaching with him in its mouth before splashing back into the water and violently moving its head from side to side in an effort to rip him apart, a common and not to mention efficient technique that sharks often use to rip chunks of meat and fat off their prey. Brad's companions and a bunch of witnesses who'd heard his initial scream watched in horror as he gave it everything he had in a final attempt to fight off the massive shark, who according to one eyewitness was the size of a car.
It was clear that he was still fighting it.
Yeah, he was giving it a good go, like really just trying to hit it, but it was quite futile. Trying to punch the shark and trying to get the shark off him as much as he could, but it was just such a huge shark that I don't know, it didn't really stand a chance, sort of.
As they looked on, frozen in terror, Cameron and Mitch would then suddenly notice a sight so rare that there are only a handful of documented cases of them in recorded history: a dual shark attack on a human.
After they stopped mauling him and they disappeared, you could just see him lying face down in the water like that.
According to eyewitness reports, the second shark was approximately 3 meters in length and was likely also a great white, although it is worth mentioning that some believe that it was a bronze whaler, another species of shark which is perfectly capable of killing a human, but does so much less often than, say, a great white would, as of course they are notorious for being the species of shark that kills the most humans every year. Brad's severed remains were then recovered from the water, and the response from the authorities was swift, with St. John's ambulance personnel and police attending the scene and confirming Brad's passing shortly after being alerted by witnesses at the beach. The beach was thereafter quickly closed, and authorities issued a warning to nearby beaches, which were also closed as a precautionary measure, as of course sharks tend to travel, and not to mention dominate, a fairly large territory. News of the incident spread rapidly, leaving locals as well as the wider surfing community in a state of shock, not to mention panic, since many of them were like Ian and Jenny, parents of kids who love surfing.
There are things you can do to lower your chances and raise your chances. Going out there now is definitely raising your chances. Hungry sharks have been spotted out here. That's not a place where I'd go surfing. It's the overcast sky, it's the grey, leaden sort of surface of the sea there. Getting in the water at this time of day under these sorts of conditions where you know there are great white sharks about, maybe not the smartest.
Shark expert Mike Renfelt observed that despite multiple eyewitness reports leaving the exact species unidentified, the aggressive behavior of forcibly ejecting the surfer from his board aligns with that which is considered typical of a great white shark. Generally, they're solitary, especially the large ones, so this collaboration is quite rare. I would have thought that this behavior could help in identifying them if they were working together. Renfelt recommended that the sharks be eliminated promptly, but despite this, Brad's family shockingly requested that the animals' lives be spared.
That's how he would have wanted to go if anything was going to happen to him. He would like the water to be the place.
It is also worth noting that Renfelt highlighted a notable change in the typical timeline for increased shark activity. He noted that usually at the end of the year, coinciding with whale migrations was previously considered the riskiest period, as sharks typically like to hunt them for their blubber, as indicated in the plethora of videos that they can be observed feeding on dead whale carcasses. So once again, it was this whale migration time that was previously seen as the riskiest period when it came to shark attacks, even on humans, and the events of 2004 have indicated that the threat from great white sharks along the southwest coast requires constant alertness throughout the year.
Oh, this is a spot. You're a surfer? Would you go in there?
Not for $1 million. The only way the shark can actually test anything to see whether it's edible or not is to bite it.
The attack on Brad Smith was unusual because it involved not one, but two sharks. A very unique and rare situation, as sharks, especially species like the great white, typically hunt solo. Now in my opinion, the second shark joining in might have been sort of like a seizing the moment type of situation, where it was attracted by the initial impact caused by the first shark. Or in other words, this feeding behavior may be characterized as opportunistic. Some experts who've analyzed the incident have also considered various other factors, such as the presence of bait fish, environmental conditions, or unusual sensory cues that could have attracted both sharks to the same location at the same time. However, despite the efforts of all these experts, the data from just a handful of documented double great white shark attacks was still quite frankly not sufficient enough to draw any conclusive evidence as to why they occur, and thus makes our understanding of such attacks even today fairly limited. These are the reasons why the bizarre nature of the attack on Brad, as well as those of course on just a handful of other victims, such as surfer Shannon Ainsley, who was extremely lucky to make it out alive after being attacked by two great white sharks. I'll leave that episode for you at the end screen of this video.
I remember just staring at the shark face to face with his mouth wide open, and I could see his one eye staring right into my face, and I could see all of his teeth. The fears and the thoughts and the emotions I was going through were just indescribable. I was 15 years old. I wanted to surf, and yeah, these sharks just attacked me, and I'm about to die.
But that also occurred in Australia. It's incidents like these that went on to influence surfer safety rules, which mostly just consider encounters with a single shark, which in itself is already horrific enough. Given how rare this kind of attack is, it's tough to draw solid conclusions like I said, but it is nevertheless a goldmine for researchers studying shark attack behavior, because it highlights just how important it is for us to understand their ways, not just when it comes to keeping surfers safe, but also for shark conservation, which will always remain a key aspect of maintaining a healthy balance in our marine ecosystems. If this episode piqued your interest, then our previous episode about the gruesome details behind the worst shark attack in history is likely to do the same.
1,100 men went into the water. Didn't see the first shark for about half an hour. 13-footer, you know that when you're in the water, Chief? You tell by looking from the dorsal to the tail.
Hit that like and subscribe button if you're new. Once again, this is Animal Al. Be safe out there. Till next time.